So let's have another little BEREAN study, shall we? The next few chapters in Isaiah, from where we left off, is talking about what's going on in the world today, and it speaks of our deliverance, our future, and what we have to look forward to, and what's happened. If we think about what we learned in the last video yesterday, we seen by reading Isaiah chapter 7 through 10, we seen that the Most High used the sovereign of Assyria, of Ashur, to tear down the borders and lie to the people and present falsehood and falsehood regarding the word and the land, so the truth in whole, and used it against the people, and it was a snare, a trap set for the people who wasn't trying to be taught ones and learn from the Torah and the witnesses. They wanted the people who who were overwhelmed by all the darkness. They were overwhelmed because they didn't go to the Torah and the witness. That's the main thing that we learned yesterday. That the truth about the land flowing with milk and honey comes from the Torah and the witness. And we've seen how the enemy tore down the boundaries and all the land, everything regarding the land. I'm going to show you a few of these articles. Look at this article that just come out today. Edge of History, how an obsidian blade rewrites the trail of conquistadors. A small artifact, obsidian artifact found in the Texas Panhandle, provides compelling evidence of Francisco Vasquez de Coronado's expedition across the area over 470 years ago. Now, I want you to think about what happened here. Why these knives were here. It's a small piece of obsidian, just over 5 centimeters long, likely found on a hard scrabble piece of ranch land in the Texas Panhandle. But when SMU anthropologist Matthew Bollinger looks at it, he gets a mental image of Spanish explorer Francisco Vasquez de Coronado making his way across the plains more than 470 years ago in search of a fabled city of gold. A fabled city of gold. The Spanish. Here's their map that they found. I only took a couple of pictures of that article. I'm not going to read it all to you. We got to get to the word. But they found a lot of those knives and artifacts that they pretty much know for sure belong to that band of the Spanish people, Spanish guys who went through here, and this was the trail that they found all the evidence of them, and right here during their expedition went through here, back and forth in search for a city of gold. This is if you don't know, let me get my arrow out. Right here's the 4 corners, and this top left one, where the end of the arrow is Utah. So that's Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. And then, so the trail went back, and he's saying that they have proof now that it was up in the Panhandle of Texas, like right where it shows you to the right. But even in their journals or whatever, in the history books, the Spanish people wrote, there's records of it, that they were over in North America, right in here, on an expedition, looking for a fabled city of gold. And I don't know if they ever found it, but look if they didn't find it. I mean, I've never read anything or seen anything that says whether they thought they found it or not, okay? But say that was the trail and they were wandering around here looking for this city, and right here at the end of that arrow, pretty much, a little bit up, maybe right there is Jerusalem. So they were that close to finding it. And I mean, I don't think they did. If I had to bet, I would bet that they didn't find it. But could you imagine them searching? And look, they were Spanish people. That article talks about how they come up from Mexico and they enslaved a bunch of indigenous people from like down in Mexico to come up there with them. And they went up here and it was like a big army, and they were looking for that city of gold that they had heard about. And I've read this document from the Montana Historical Society to you guys before that talks about that. This is an eyewitness account, and this guy that wrote this was like a notable guy, like not a politician, but like someone who, he was an official. This came from an official, this guy did. And this was back in, his account was before 1776. It was way back when. And it says right up here at the top, it says, he's talking about the lake. This is a continuation from another page, and it ends in circumference. It's talking about the lake, the Salt Lake. It says, the mouth of which is 10 leagues broad, that the lower part of the river is adorned with 6 noble cities, surrounded with stone, cemented with fat earth. That the houses of the cities have no roofs, but are open above like a platform, as you see them drawn in the map. That the people of that country made stuffs, copper axes, and several other manufacturers. Now, I'm not going to read all this. I've read all this in a few of my videos. If you go back to The Secret, it's like a few months back, I made 3 videos with pretty much the same thumbnail, and it says The Secret of Yahuwah Revealed. That was the title, and that's what the thumbnail says. And I read all this document to you. These people were called the Tahaglunks right here. Look, the Tahaglunk right there, highlighted. They were called the Tahaglunk. And these people that were like rich, and they made copper. And so Columbus was a Spanish guy. And I've read documents on my channel of Columbus, right, where he wrote, and like it was known, that his whole mission was to find a fabled city of gold in North America. And I don't think he ever found it. I think the last thing I seen was like he got sidetracked because some people told him about a city down where like the Mayans lived, or the Aztecs, and he ended up going south down through the jungle and stuff. But he was originally right up in that same area. He was trying to get to that same area out there. And so there's documentation that says Columbus was looking for a city of gold. There's documentation right here that there was 6 noble cities at this great Salt Lake by the mountains, and he's talking about the Provo and Salt Lake City area. And if you go read that document. And the Spanish were looking for the city of gold. And the Pilgrims were called the Pilgrims. A pilgrim is someone who, we looked at the definition. A pilgrim is someone who travels or, makes a journey for a spiritual, religious reason, like to a city. Like when you go to Jerusalem during the feast days, that's a pilgrimage, like the people do over there in Mecca. So why did the people that landed on the Mayflower, why were they called pilgrims? And all that evidence I just, all that you can use to give you reason to keep looking into the truth about the boundaries. I mean, what I just told you and showed you is nothing. It's not even the tip of the iceberg. It's just a little taste. There's so much evidence that points to all the names and the locations of places being turned around and hidden, and we've been told lies about everything. But this whole time, the Bible, the Word of the Most High, the Torah, and the witnesses has been here with us. And we had to come out. And like, look right here, deception in paleontology, the painted skin on a 280 million year old fossil. And I'm not going to read all that to you, but if you read that article, they found evidence that the fossil was carved by knives into the rock, and the skin, what they said was skin, was black paint. And for the longest time, all the scientists were convinced that that was a 280 million year old fossil. So we've been led by dummies for a long time. And what that eclipse marked, what it symbolized, or what it signified last October, was the crossing of the realities of the lies are going to destruction, and the truth of everything that we've been lied to about is coming to light. They call it a nexus event. And we read about it in those 3 chapters I read last night in Isaiah. And I'm going to read a couple more, the following chapters, and you're going to see even more of it. That's what happened. They lied to us about where, after Nebuchadnezzar and them guys came and raided Jerusalem. And I mean, why wouldn't that happen? If there's a big city of gold, a fabled city of gold, Abba could have put it in their hearts to come here and loot it, and to get the gold and to smash and destroy. So that must have been what happened. Oh yeah, back to that, in that article with the Tahaglunk, the king that they said destroyed the 6 noble cities came from the Great Lakes area. And his name started with an N. I can't remember what it was, but it was a long name. It was like Nelsha or something like that. And that he was greatly feared, and that he destroyed, like demolished all the peoples that was there. And there was only a few stragglers left at one time. So, and there's been so many, I've shown like articles about relics, Babylonian relics and Chaldean relics found around the Great Lakes. And if you add in that all in prophecy, you read that the guy who would first lift the banner to wave Yasharal, people of Yasharal, to come back home, would come from Babylon, from the north. And that's right where I came from. So, but look, if you ever wonder why I put the Thundercat pictures on when I'm just messing around, and I know most people, they got all kinds of ideas why I do something, but if you've wondered why I do that, check a little bit of this plot out here from the Thundercats upcoming comic book coming out. Fleeing through space to escape their dying home world, the Thundercats were attacked en route from their home world by their mortal enemies, the mutants of Plundar. After diverting their damaged flagship to a planet called Third Earth, And there's a lot of these stories I've read on here talk about a third earth. That band that made the song My Future So Bright I Gotta Wear Shades, their name is Timbuk3. That's why it's called Timbuk3. The same reason this is called Third Earth, because it's not like they're meaning that the earth was destroyed and ruined. It was before Noah was first earth, after the flood, up until now, is the second earth. Is the second earth, and then third earth is where, like, what they consider to be like the afterlife or heaven or whatever they consider. That's third earth. The surviving Thundercats now strive to rebuild their society in harmony with the New World's natives, but the mutants determined to possess the Thundercats' mystical gem, the Eye of Thundera. The Eye of Thundera. And there's a lot of things called, there's one in Marvel stories called the Eye of Agamotto or something. It looks like Armageddon. And the true meaning of the Battle of Armageddon, it means the eye of the storm. We heard the rabbis talking about it. All those Orthodox rabbis, they know that the Bible says that you have to be in Jerusalem to survive at the end, and it's going to be like the eye of a storm. They know that, and I played videos of them of like a highly esteemed rabbi who's got a lot of followers saying that same thing, but he says it's over there in Jerusalem. So that's the only part he's got wrong, and that's because the sovereign of Assyria, which is Satan, tore down the boundaries and all that stuff we read that he did, and we're going to read more. And Abba used him. That's why he said he used him to shave the beard, remember? So that's what the eclipse symbolized, is the shaving. And now you see all this stuff coming out about, like, you never used to see articles saying that. I guarantee you 5 years ago, you would have never seen articles talking about us being lied to over history and all this stuff. So, but they're determined to possess the Thundercats' mystical gem, the Eye of Thundera. So their home is called Thundera, and where they build it on Third Earth, they call it New Thundera, the New Thundera, and so their whole mission, the Thundercats, is to defend their home, their city, their castle, Thundera. And the eye of the storm, just like in Jerusalem, just like the Most High says in his word, like them rabbis know, in the end, when the end of the way we know it happens, the destruction's going to be everywhere on the world, it says, except Jerusalem, like the eye of a storm. So that's why those mutants want the Eye of Thundera, because that's where all the power comes from. That's why in the cartoon they shine their symbol up in the sky, and it's the Eye of Thundera symbol, and whenever the other Thundercats see it, they come home. And that's where the power is in the Eye of Thundera. Now the Thundercats, led by an inexperienced Lion-O, must band together as never before to protect their legacy from this combined enemy. But will they be able to withstand the onslaught of Mum-Ra, the ever-living, once he sets his eyes upon them? So, and part of the story is their leader, Lion-O, who they choose to be their leader, their king, is really a 12-year-old boy trapped in like a 24-year-old's body, because they were supposed to get in some cryogenic tank or whatever when they left Thundera, the dying Thunder, to go to Third Earth. They were supposed to get in this tank, and something happened to his tank, and his body aged to the age of 24, but his mind is still 12 years old, and he's inexperienced. He's like he's childlike. That's talking about being childlike, having a childlike faith. The preview pages for the issue show a quick recap of the situation that the Thundercats were fleeing from when they finally landed on Third Earth, as well as the fact that Lion-O was meant to be a cub, like Wile Kit and Wile Cat. But something went wrong with this cryogenics tube, so he has aged into adulthood while still having the mind of a young cub. Still now, as an adult, Lion-O is expected to lead the Thundercats. So that's why I put those Thundercat pictures on there. It's to be funny, and it's kind of cool. And the Thundercat, whoever wrote the Thundercats, knowed how the end was going to play out, and that's what that story is all about. It's about our deliverance and us. So we read chapter 10. Let's get 11, and let's put our Berean hats on, shall we? And boots, suited and booted, and let's examine this. It's going to take some time, yeah, and you know, I'm epic, so you have to be patient with me, but we're never going to get to the truth, be taught ones, unless we have patience and we thoroughly examine the word. And time is, it doesn't matter how much time it takes. The only time we need to be concerned with is how much time is left before there is no more time. So we know that what we learned in the last 3 chapters was there was a lot of lying going on, and that the people didn't believe the truth about it, and they weren't going to believe it, and that it involved the land of milk and honey, and the tearing down of boundaries and unrighteous inscriptions, prescribed toil. And the answer, the truth to overcome all that, was in the Torah and the witnesses the whole time. But the people, the majority, refused to be taught by the Torah and the witnesses. And they said words like conspiracy. So that's what's happening right now. And that's what he was talking about. And it's been happening. And so we see with all the movies, with everything, it's all about the land and the return and the kingdom for real, for real. If you're serious about your relationship with the Most High, then you should be all in, on actually getting your reward. And a rod shall come forth from the stump of YESHAYAH, which is Jesse, and a sprout from his roots shall be fruitful. Let me show you that YESHAYAH is Jesse, right there. Jesse. And we know that Jesse was David's dad, right? Yeah. So, verse 1 says, and a rod shall come forth from the stump. So through the lineage, through the bloodline of Jesse, a root and sprout from his roots shall be fruitful. The spirit of Yahuwah shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahuwah. And he shall make him breathe in the fear of Yahuwah, and he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears. Now, this is what makes us humble. Understanding this and obeying this is what makes man humble. And if he can't obey this, he's not humble and he's prideful. There's only two, you only have one. You can either be prideful or humble. There's no in between. There's not three kind of people in the world. There's prideful and there's humble. And how we humble ourselves is we refuse to judge something, someone, a situation by how we see it and what someone tells us about it. We put our BEREAN boots on and we examine thoroughly the evidence available, and we make a educated, right, ruling answer, decision regarding it. That's those types. The people that can operate like that are the only people that will be living in the end. If you can't operate with understanding, when you see someone like a billionaire could walk past you in some rags, and he could have just got out of an old used vehicle, and if you look at him and just instantly think, man, that guy, and think that he don't have any money, but in reality he's a billionaire, you had no understanding. You can't know. We can't pretend to know things that we just can't know. It's impossible for us to know something like that unless we get to know the person to find out whether he's a billionaire or not. So that's understanding. When someone tells you, oh no, that's where Israel is. This is America. No, this ain't. That's crazy. Well, that's fine, you know. It might be crazy if you show me the proof that it is. Because I'll call it like it is myself. If the evidence was saying that it was over there, then the only way to have understanding is to judge rightly by the evidence, by the facts, the truth. So we can't judge books by their cover. We can't. We have to be able to take the precious from the worthless. And shall make him breathe in the fire. In the fire. Hold on. Okay. I already read that part. My bad. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and shall decide with straightness for the meek ones of the earth, and shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and slay the wrong with the breath of his lips. So the sprout, the root that came from Jesse, the whoever, anyway, I'm pretty sure we all know who this is talking about. Who we know who's going to be striking the earth with the rod of his mouth and slaying the wrong with the breath of his lips. And that's the truth. That's the word. That's how the believers who don't live by the word, they think that the Messiah has all that power just because they say he does, just because. No, they don't see the reason he does, because he's the word. That's why his name is the word. The word has that power, and It's came out now. And, you know, there were certain things, truths that we were oblivious to and just didn't even think about it. And now the time has come where we're going to have to think about it. We're going to have to accept it and move on from it and do the right thing if we want to be delivered. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and trustworthiness the girdle of his waist. And a wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and a leopard lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a child shall lead them. I'm sure a lot of us, most of us have read that or heard those words right there. Some people say that the Mandela effect got them and changed some of these words around, but I'll tell you right now, that's not important. What's important, and correct me if I'm wrong, what's important is that we understand that this ain't literal. That down here, it describes how the cow will and the lion will play, and the lion will eat straw and everything. And it says, and a nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the adder's den. They do no evil, nor destroy in all my set apart mountain, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah as the waters cover the sea. So the reason the child can put their hand by the cobra's hole, the reason the wolf shall dwell with the lamb and the leopard lie down with the young goat, is because the knowledge of Yahuwah shall cover the earth, shall be filled. The earth shall be filled with the knowledge. So this ain't literal. The wolf, he's talking about someone who was a villain in the world's eyes before and was just a nasty person, but they come to the truth, the knowledge of the Most High, and they do a 180 and correct course. They can dwell with the Lamb. That's what he's saying, because everyone dwelling will be operating with the knowledge of the Most High, using understanding for right ruling. That's why it says, and a child leads them. A child leads them, just like thundercats. And cow and bear shall feed their young ones lie down together, and a lion eat straw like an ox. But the one thing you want to take note of here is verse 9. It says, they do no evil nor destroy in all my set apart mountain, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, standing as a banner to the people. Unto him the nations shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed. His rest shall be esteemed. And it shall be in that day that Yahuwah sets his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left, from Ashur and from Mitzrayim, Egypt, from Pathros and from Cush, from Elam and from Shinar, from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall raise a banner for the nations, and gather the outcast of Yasharal, and assemble the dispersed of Yehuda from the four corners of the earth. And the envy of Ephraim shall turn aside, and the adversaries of Yehuda be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehuda, and Yehuda not trouble Ephraim. But they shall fly down upon the shoulder of the Philistines toward the west. Down on the shoulders. And remember, he said he put that the Most High was going to put the reign, the kingdom, the city on the Messiah's shoulders, on Emmanuel's shoulders. That the burdens has been on our shoulders, because we have been lied to about who we are and where we come from, that we have a home, and that's where the power is, and that we can physically go there for real, not in a dream or a fantasy. We can go there now and take it. All those lies were on our shoulder. But now we're going to fly down on the shoulder of the Philistines towards the west. Together they plunder the people of the east. Their hand stretching forth on Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall be subject to them. And Yahuwah shall put under the ban the tongue of the sea of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, and he shall wave his hand over the river with the might of his spirit, and shall strike it in the 7 streams, and shall cause men to tread in it in sandals. And so we've seen how when he's talking about Egypt, when he says Mitzrayim, he's meaning the money, the love, what you do, like you work for the money, you know what I mean? That's it's the money aspect of Babylon. And so he says that he's going to put under the ban the tongue of the sea of Mitzrayim. And when we read on, you'll see what he was, exactly what he meant by that. He shall wave his hand over the river with the might of his spirit, and shall strike it in the 7 streams. And it's got to do with religion and with churches and stuff too, like the money, the real mark of the beast, like the fact that people live the way they do, sell the word and all that. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, those left from Ashur, as it was for Yasharal in the day when he came up from the land of Mitzrayim. Now, hopefully no one believes that verse 16 was literal when it says that there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people. It's not, they're not literally gonna build just a highway or have a highway. And we read all over the place that it says that a highway will be built up. So it's a riddle. It's figures of speech. The highway for you is whatever highway's closest to you that'll get you home the quickest. And whatever you got to do it, whatever you go through to do it, whatever you walk away from, that's the highway for you. And in that day you shall say, I thank you, Yahuwah. Though you were enraged with me, your displeasure has turned back, and you have comforted me. See, the mighty one is my deliverance. I trust and am not afraid. For Yahuwah is my strength and my song, and he has become my deliverance. And you shall draw water with joy from the fountains of deliverance. And in that day you shall say, praise Yahuwah, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the peoples, make mention that his name is exalted. Now, do you think that he was talking about what he's going to be saying after he gets to heaven? That Isaiah is saying, see, in that day, whoever's alive is going to say, the mighty one is my deliverance. I trust, and he's my strength and my song, my deliverance. And that we would draw water with joy from the fountains of deliverance. Is he talking about that, like if you die and you make it to heaven, is that you drawing the water from that fountain of deliverance and the Most High becoming your deliverance? No. He's telling you what I was just telling you a minute ago. You can take this. You have the ability to, you don't have to take a guess and wait and hope that you make it when you wake up after you die or whatever. You can come to your deliverance right now. The people, the word tells us that in the end, that's how it would be. He just told us he's going to bring us back a second time. And in that day you shall say, Praise Yahuwah, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the peoples, make mention that his name is exalted, that our door. Sing to Yahuwah, for he has done excellently. This is known in all the earth. And what I've been sharing, this message that I've been sharing with you guys, it is most excellent. Not anything on my part, but the truth that we've been revealing and how we can take our deliverance, real talk, right now, and that the whole word has been saying that that's what would happen, and how the end, what it says about the end and how the end would go down is happening. We're seeing it. We're seeing the truth. We're seeing the shaving of the beard and the hair of the legs and all that. Them landing on the shoulders of the men of the East. We're seeing all this happen. So we see that the end's coming. And all the words been talking about this day. And we're here. We're blessed to be alive at this time, to have a chance to be the ones to go. Would you, if you didn't know whether you were going to make it to heaven or not, would you trade your life now, the life you have now and yet to live, to be one of them people that came out of Egypt the first time and that made it to the promised land? That the Most High he didn't kill and was done what the Most High asked him to do and went to the land, like Caleb or Joshua. Joshua's life would have been, so, but we're in the end times. We're at the climax. We're who everyone's been waiting. The word, those who are alive have been waiting for this time to get here, and for the people that would return and take Jerusalem back at the end. This is what everyone has been. This is like the grand finale. It's most excellent. And the process it took to get here, and all the truth, and solving all these riddles and unlocking all these codes and stuff in the Word and in what we see out here in the world, what they put in our face. It's been masterful. I only wish that I could have presented it a little better, but what you see is what you get. What matters is the words that are coming out of my mouth. If you need to speed it up a little bit, speed it up. But this is an important BEREAN style Bible study, let me tell you. And I heard a guy the other day get mad because someone in his comment section complained about his presentation of the news he was sharing. And he said, hey, this isn't the Super Bowl halftime show. This is just one man on a computer reading you the news. What matters is what's being said. And if you want the truth, you have to be patient, and you have to be hungry, and you can't judge with the sight of your eyes and what you hear. You have to prove everything and judge rightly. Cry aloud and shout, O inhabitant of Sion, for great is the set apart one of Yasharal in your midst. See? Verse 6 lets you know that only the inhabitants of Sion are going to rejoice and live. The message concerning Babel, which Isaiah, YESHAYAH, son of Amitz, saw. Lift up a banner on the high mountain. Raise your voice to them. Wave your hand. Let them enter the gates of the nobles. Just what I was saying, right? The journey. The beauty. I have commanded my set-apart ones. I have also called my mighty men for my displeasure, my proudly exalting ones. The noise of an uproar in the mountains, like that of many people, a noise of uproar of the reigns of nations gathered together. Yahuwah of hosts is gathering an army for battle. And this is one thing that I've learned that we have to think about. The Battle of Armageddon. Yeah, there probably will be a lot of battle and war going on, but the Battle of Armageddon, when the world comes against Jerusalem is built on righteousness, right? Yes. And we've been reading about it. It's about right ruling. It's when they return and they judge with understanding, right ruling, and they reign. They're reigning, and there is no one in that land that don't operate that way. When that's happening, all outside of the city is going to be people who don't operate that way. They operate under Babylon and Egypt the way the world does, for the money, and with no backbone and no loyalty. No esteem for the Most High, but for themselves. That's the whole world is in battle, in opposition, in enmity to right ruling and truth, which is his children. So, yeah, at the end, that's what it's going to be like. But the reason I say that is because if you see nations all coming, like surrounding Israel over there to destroy it, don't confuse that with what happens there with the Battle of Armageddon, because it's not. Or what they call the Battle of Armageddon. This is like the Valley of Vision. This is in the end, those who live the reason they'll live is because they'll make the right choice and they'll choose Jerusalem, their home, to come home in that time over Babylon and everything else. They'll choose the Most High and what the Bible talks about, us having an inheritance and us being his inheritance and living with the Most High in our midst. That's what it's all about. So in the end, the Most High give us the choice. Do you want that, or do you want to stay in Babylon? But I'm going to warn you lots of times that if you choose Babylon, you will die. And you'll go away in torment, weeping and gnashing teeth. So you have the option. The Bible's been on your lap the whole time. There's no excuse. So, and those who want the kingdom in Jerusalem choose it, and they come on faith, with childlike faith, and they're not judging anyone. It's nothing, and judging people has nothing to do with it. Us feasting off the BS, it has everything to do with it. We need to see what went wrong, where we went wrong before, and use that now to motivate us to do the right thing. They are coming from a distant land, from the end of the heavens, even Yahuwah and his weapons of displeasure to destroy all the earth. How, for the day of Yahuwah is near, it comes as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands go limp, every man's heart melts. And they shall be afraid, pangs and sorrows take hold of them. They are in pain as of a woman in labor. They are amazed at one another, their faces aflame. And I can assure you, we can go through it and we can see that he's not being literal about that either. Right now, everyone is doing their own thing, and it has falsehood involved with it, one way or the other. Either just a little bit, or it's just straight up 100% falsehood, aimed to destroy. So everyone who's still stuck in that that's what they look like to the Most High. Not literally, but they're in pangs and sorrows. They're in pain. They don't know how to, in the day of battle, here's the end everybody talks about. Here, now we're here, and no one is fighting for the truth and doing what the Bible's actually saying. I mean, I'm not saying no one is, but the majority, if you look around, basically no one is. Everyone's doing what they want to do, one way or the other, in their own way. See, the day of Yahuwah is coming fierce with the wrath and heat, of displeasure, to lay the earth waste and destroy its sinners from it. For the stars of the heavens and their constellations do not give off their light. The sun shall be dark at its rising, and the moon not send out its light. And I shall punish the world for its evil and the wrong for their crookedness, and shall put an end to the arrogance of the proud, and lay low the pride of the ruthless. I shall make mortal man scarcer than fine gold, and mankind scarcer than the gold of Ophir. So I shall make the heavens tremble, and the earth shall shake from her place in the wrath of Yahuwah of hosts, and in the day of the heat of his displeasure. And it shall be as the hunted gazelle, and as a sheep that no man takes up. Every man turns to his own people, and everyone flees to his own land. There's two kind of men, a prideful one and a humble one. If you never find it within you to desire to go back home and find the truth about all this, you lacked humility. So now at the end, now everyone's splitting. This has been the parting of the two ways. The choice has to be made now, and people are choosing it every day. People are choosing the wrong way more boldly than they did yesterday, and loudly, loud and proud. They love to be in defiance, but it's so dark, it's such a thick darkness that they don't realize they're in defiance. They want to convince you that it's the truth, and it comes from the word of the Most High. But you can't get them to open it up with you and investigate it, research it, study it, BEREAN style, to find the truth. And when you do, if you try to show them the truth, and you can show the truth to them, the ones that deny it, they deny it because it will destroy the life they're living right now, the Babylonian Mitzrayim style life, where it's all about the Benjamins basically, and their whole life is just, their whole faith, all they really can do is go to church every week or twice a week, pay their tithes, but retire in their own home, build their home or whatever, have a home in the city, that their hometown, and never think about the Most High's land and our inherited land or nothing. Just live out their life, Babylonian. That's what it would be. If you live your life and you never think about your comely home, the slaughter place, your dad, all that stuff, you're a Babylonian. You're an Egyptian. You don't belong to the house of the Most High. It's just common sense. And the darkness is so thick nowadays that people will argue that. They'll try to say that they're not. But it's just common sense. If you're not working to live in Yasharal and Yerushalayim, go there all the feast days and enjoy it and love it and mourn the humiliation and the destruction of your home and be excited about the return to it. If you're not doing that, then you're not a part of it. It's just common sense. The delusion is thick, isn't it? So that's why he says, you won't choose the good and refuse the evil until you eat the curds and the honey. So in that day, the people who make all their decisions based on money and stuff like that, and how they can impress people or not feel whatever, they're separating from the people who will stand their ground, and they got standards. They're not gonna, if they see something in the Word and they see it's the truth, they go with the truth. They eat that truth. They follow the truth and obey it. Follow the Lamb. And the people who won't do that, they refuse to do it because they don't want to, they're more worried about being right, finding the evidence to prove that they're right, and justify what they're doing, instead of looking at the truth. So the truth and getting to the bottom of it, right ruling, isn't what their agenda is. Their agenda is self-image and the Benjamins. So in this day, everyone's splitting, and that's what's happening right now. And then we're going to go to our own land, the land of the living or the land of the dead. Whoever is found is thrust through, and everyone taken falls by the sword. So the sword is what's going to kill everyone. Anyone that dies, and it's going to be almost everyone, will have died by the sword, the word, because they didn't follow it and love it. And their children are dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses plundered and their wives ravaged. That's what's happening right now. When these people give birth to a child and they plunge it into a life of paganry, lies and holidays and all this sick stuff, and feed them this horrible food, detestable food that we're not supposed to eat, that's bad for us. If we get plunged into that kind of life as a child, we're dashed to pieces if we're never recovered. That's what that is. And the houses are plundered. There ain't nothing good anywhere. Nothing brings forth fruit. It's all fuel for the fire, wives and all. See, I am stirring up the Medes against them who do not regard silver, and as for gold, they do not delight in it. And bows dash the young to pieces, and they have no compassion on the fruit of the womb. Their eye spares no children. And Babel, the splendor of the reigns, the comeliness of the pride of the Kasdim, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. She shall never be inhabited, nor be settled from generation to generation, nor shall the Arabian pitch tents there, nor shepherds rest their flocks there. So we know that we've been talking about lies, about the boundaries, the land, flowing with milk and honey. And us coming out of those lies is when the light shines on us, we find the truth about it and we return home. When we start to eat plenty milk, that's when all those things happen. And it comes from the ardor of the Most High, right? That's what we're doing. Well, so we're to come back to the city, the eye. So when he's talking about telling the people and what's going to happen in the world's eye, the real set apart place they don't even know about it. They're completely oblivious, or they've refused to hear the truth about it. So the splendor, the reign of splendor in this time is the one that everyone gives their adoration to right now. They think that that's the real place. They think that that's the real place and real people in return, and they don't realize how not knowing the truth about all that it's going to kill you. They don't realize all that, the severity of it. So the reigns of splendor, the comeliness of the pride of the Kasdim, of the Chaldeans. The Kasdim is the Chaldeans. And the Chaldeans are the Babylonians, or the Chaldeans, same thing. They are the Americans. We're New York, all out in like the Great Lakes area. Chicago, that's why Chicago is named Chicago. It's I'll remember it later sometime, hopefully. But it's like a Babylonian or whatever. It's got a Babylonian name to it. Chicago does. So, and is Isis Ra'el the splendor and the comeliness of the pride of the Kasdim? We know that it's all Operation Paperclip, all that stuff after World War II. We know all their plans, the blueprint. We know that they planned to make a state of Isis Ra'el, the Rothschilds. We just seen it. Every day more evidence is coming out. Yesterday it was on the news that the Rothschild guy that died took credit for the state of Isis Ra'el and the creation of it. And it was for their purposes, his family's purposes. And that's what it was. It was for the enemy's purposes. Well, the Most High, to set a trap. And all those who really don't love the Most High and is just bullshitting will go to the trap and die. They'll commit suicide. The Most High don't have to destroy any of them. They've chosen. And the truth, the Torah and the witnesses, is right here for everyone to find, to see. Any one of us can read it and find the truth. But not only does the majority just avoid doing that, reading it like this, the majority of believers shun reading it like this and refuse to take it from someone who's not expected. They don't take the truth. They're not going to take it from someone unexpected. They're only going to take it from their highly esteemed and their elders. So all the esteem and the everything and place and people that the world has given its adoration to now, when it comes to the word of the Most High and the Most High, the big picture. The big picture is the Most High is our creator. He created us in his image. He gave us earth, and we're supposed to live with him in his midst on this earth, and with joy and peace and happiness for eternity. That's the picture. All this other stuff don't mean nothing. It's just noise. So the trap is, come over here. This is where you will live forever. And rapture, the rapture theory, and all this, just don't worry about it. You don't need it. That's wrong. That's a conspiracy. But all it would take is for you to open the word and read it, and you'll see. And like I said, it splits right down the middle. Those who choose not to open it up and read it, and they would rather just continue living a lie because they don't want to have to, they know their wife ain't going to accept it, or their husband, or the people are going to think they're crazy or whatever. What am I going to do? Anyone who chooses that and chooses to just keep on trucking in Babylon is going to be destroyed. And that's the trap. You heard the word that all you have to do was this, and if it has nothing to do with returning home to Jerusalem at the appointed times and loving your Most High, your Creator, with esteem and reverence and obeying his instructions being in a marriage with him and the truth, if it doesn't involve that, then it's the trap. It's the wrong way. And that's how he proves the real from the fake. He sets the trap, and you either walk into it or you don't. She shall never be inhabited, nor be settled from generation to generation, nor shall the Arabian pitch tents there, nor shepherds rest their flocks there. He put the word Arabian in there too, as an obvious clue. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be filled with owls, and ostriches shall dwell there, and wild goats frolic there. Oftentimes in the prophets, when it's talking about the city of the thief of wrongness, the house of the thief, and Sor and all those things, the whore of Babylon, he says that when he's talking about like how it is and how it will be in the end, he uses the word ostrich. So when he says ostriches shall dwell there, that's a metaphor for it's going to be a place where you won't want to be. You would never want to go, and no one will go. No one's gonna talk about the Kabbalah-tree kind of crap. No one's gonna talk about paganry. There's gonna come a time where that will be far enough in our past that the generations to come won't talk about it. They'll be in the land of right ruling, and there'll be no mention of falsehood, and everything can go smoothly according to the real plan. But all the nastiness is going to be it's going to be destroyed and left. And hyenas shall cry in their citadels, and jackals in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days are not drawn out. Her. Because Yahuwah has compassion on Jacob, and shall again choose Yasharal, and give them rest in their own land. And the strangers shall join them, and they shall cling to the house of Jacob. And people shall take them and bring them to their own place. And the house of Yasharal shall possess them for servants and female servants in the land of Yahuwah. So, if you paid attention of what we read the last video and this video up until now, you'll have to admit that what Isaiah is telling us is that we have to find our true home that's hidden, and it's not the place the world tells you and thinks it is, and that we have to go there, love it, go there, and live. That's what he's telling us. So when he says the house of Yasharal shall possess them for servants and female servants in the land of Yahuwah, we are his servants, right? A lot of the people who read this think of like slavery, like making people who are like Babylonian, pagan, be our slaves now because we're Israel or something. No, that's not what this is saying. No, whoever's in the house is going to be servants in the house of Yasharal. We're all servants to the Most High. And they shall make captives of their captors and rule over their oppressors. And see, this is not literal. The Most High doesn't want you to kidnap people and be oppressive. We're supposed to give bread and water to our enemies and not do anything like that. So what he's talking about is what's oppressed us and held us captive this whole time. We have to have our foot on its throat, stomping down at all times. And we have the ability to do that. And as a matter of fact, if we're not doing it, it's pretty pathetic if we've read, a deal of the word. the Bible. Anyone who's read a decent amount of the Word and claims anything should, by all means, be capable of keeping your foot on the throat of all that, of all these lies, all the BS, right? So now I'm taken captive. We are together, our captors, and those who ruled over us, oppressed us. Well, now we're oppressing them, because the weapon of Christmas is no longer damaging me, injuring me in any way, for an example, all that stuff. So now we're the one that's has the advantage in this situation now that we are aware of the knowledge of Yahuwah with understanding and reading the word diligently. And it shall be in the day Yahuwah gives you rest from your sorrow and from your trouble and the hard service in which you were made to serve, that you shall take up this proverb against the sovereign of Babel and say, how the oppressor has ceased, the gold gatherer ceased. And that's another huge clue that lets you know this is talking about religion, that Babel is the place that people they live their whole lives and walk out their whole journey and their faith to. They give their tithes, they give their fruit to Babel if they're in Babylon. And like I said, the only way that you're not in Babylon and Egypt and all that is you're in Jerusalem. There's two types of people in the world. There's people who want to live in Jerusalem with the Most High in peace and joy forever, and there's those who don't. And you can't have it both ways. So we're going to be saying, and I'm thinking it's pretty soon, how the oppressor has ceased, the gold gatherer ceased. She's been the gold gatherer. That place and all its lies, its myths and religion and all that has been garnering all the attention, the adoration from the world when it comes to the Most High, in one way or the other. The rapture, the story of Jesus, the lies, all of it's come from there, from Babylon. So it's going to cease, and there'll be no more paganry, nothing. Yahuwah has broken the staff of the wrong, the scepter of the rulers. There you go. The world thinks that place has the scepter, right? See? He who struck the people in wrath with ceaseless blows, he who ruled the nations in displeasure is persecuted, and no one restrains. All the earth is at rest and at peace. They shall break forth into singing. Even the cypress trees rejoice over you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you were cut down, no woodcutter has come up against us. Sheol and from beneath is excited about you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead for you, all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from the thrones of all the sovereigns of the nations. All of them respond and say to you, have you also become weak as we? Have you become like us? Your arrogance has been brought down to Sheol, and the sound of your stringed instruments, the maggot, is spread under you, and worms cover you. So he was saying that the people say to the Most High, they respond to the Most High and say, have you also become as weak as we? Have you become like us? Meaning like they limit the Most High. They don't really believe because they don't think, like all this truth we're reading, then the deniers of it who say they're believers, they deny it, and they think that it's not possible that this could be true, that the Most High couldn't do something so excellent. But yet they believe in fantasies, or they tell you they do. But what the word's saying, and I've been sharing, those who deny it there's no way they're going to believe it, that it could happen like that. So they think the Most High is like them. Your arrogance has been brought down to Sheol, and the sound of your stringed instruments, the maggot is spread under you, and worms cover you. So when he hears the sound of their stringed instruments, the babble, to him it's the maggot under them and the worms. It's rottenness. And the stringed instruments is in the set-apart place. It means that you're in the set-apart place. If you're home, you've come home. He said, I'll take them a second time. When we come home, we're going to play stringed instruments. Their stringed instruments, them playing it is... Now can you see why he said that they're like maggots and worms to him? Because someone has convinced the Most High's children that this is the way, this is the house, this is what you do. And it's the opposite. And the reason they tell you that, it's so they can convince you to go, they can lie to you about where it is you need to go and keep you from going where you need to go, where life is. The object is to convince you to commit suicide. And the world largely is complying. How you have fallen from the heavens, O Hallel, son of the morning. You have been cut down to the ground, you who laid low the nations. Son of Hallel, the morning. Who do you think he's talking about? The majority of people that I've seen talk about this verse say this is talking about Satan, and it is. But remember, we've been reading about how the sovereign of Ashur is the one that laid low the nations that the Most High used. So this is one more piece of evidence that you can use to prove that when he's talking about the sovereign of Ashur, he's talking about Satan. For you have said in your heart, let me go up to the heavens, let me raise my throne above the stars of El, and let me sit in the mount of appointment on the sides of the north. See, this is what it's all about. The enemy has said, Hallel, Satan, sovereign of Ashur, has said in his heart, let me go up to the heavens. Let me tell the truth and be up as high as the Most High. Be the king, the one in charge. Let me raise my throne above the stars of the Most High. And let me sit in the mount of appointment on the sides of the north. Let me go up above the heights of the clouds. Let me be like the Most High. But you are brought down to Sheol, to the sides of the pit. So, and that's one thing that's just ridiculous. That if anyone denies this truth and denies to look at it, they can't, it's like there's no way they would believe that the enemy would make a false place in deliverance, tell you lies to get you to go the opposite way. to death and not to life. They think that it could never happen. And all it would take is a little bit of reading and some thought, and you'll see that it's the perfect thing that has to happen. It had to be this way. Those who see you stare at you and ponder over you, saying, is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook the rains? Talking about Satan, the man who made the earth tremble, shook the rains. How do you do that? Tearing down the boundaries, unrighteous inscription, all that. Who made the world as a wilderness and destroyed its cities, who would not open the houses of his prisoners. Boom. That should tell you right there. Any logical thinking, critical thinking person of any age at all who truly wants the truth, desires to find the truth, when they read the chapters from 7 till now, they'll understand that in the end, there'll be lies that's told to us to convince us to hide our true home and our inheritance and who we are, and convince us just to live our lives out wherever. And if we do give any adoration to like a place where the Most High said his name, it's the false place, and it's based on blood and unrighteousness and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And everything about it's lies and wickedness, and it's all about the Benjamins. So it's perfect that in the end, that it would happen this way. It would have to. And if you just read the chapters we have, the last 2 videos, and you get to 17, verse 17, chapter 14, and you see that Satan, the sovereign of Ashur, tore down boundaries, made the world as a wilderness, and they destroyed cities. And he would not open the house of his prisoners. That should let you know that this has been, he made a prison earth, false earth, to imprison you, because it does. In I Chi, where they study, where they use their numbered hexagrams, these evil Kabbalah guys, the 23rd hexagram is known as the stranger, the wanderer, the sojourner. And when you read about it, what the 23rd hexagram is about is that the stranger is unaware that the place he currently lives isn't the land of his origin, and he'll never be at peace until he returns home. But he'll never return home until he realizes the place he is in currently isn't the land of his origin, and then he can turn and begin to look for the land of his origin and find it and return. That's what the 23rd hexagram is all about. I've shown it on here on this channel. So that's the prison. It's the prison house, the house of his prisoners. That's the lie that's been perpetrated on mankind. That's the stumbling block. The Messiah, the Lamb, came and showed us the way, and that was, he went to the city, Jerusalem, like the Most High said, because that's what the Most High desires. He went there on the appointed times. He spoke the truth, and he obeyed the Most High. He lived to do what the Most High desired, and that's what we have to do. So that's what the whole story of the Messiah is about. Not just because, it's not that he died and his blood was spilled on the ground. It doesn't just magically cover people who want to keep on sinning and you know, he don't take the sin, you know. It's not like he come and done all that and died just so the world can continue on in their debauchery but get released of any punishment because his blood was spilled on the ground. It's all symbolic, and it means so much more because he knew he would have to die to do that, to do it right, the way the Most High wanted him to. And if he wouldn't have died, we wouldn't have that example to know that we might have to die for it, and that it's worth everything. We have to give our life for the cause. If the Most High would have, or if the Messiah would have backed out and said nah, and he would have chickened out, and right when he knew they were coming for him, he would have fled and never did get hung on the stake, we wouldn't have that example. That would have been our example, that we could flee. But see, this is for everything. It comes down, we're at the end, it comes down to that choice, the separating of the two ways. It has to be everything to you. Your family should mean everything to you, and you would be glad to lay your life down for your family and your friends. Only those type of people will be living in the land of the living. So, and anywhere else, it's a prison. All the sovereigns of the nations, all of them were laid in esteem, everyone in his own house. So all the sovereigns of the nations, all of them were laid in esteem. Everything was made the way the enemy wanted it to be, even down to the architecture and the masonry and the layout, the geography, all that stuff was made the way in his image, the way he wanted it to be. But all it was a counterfeit. He can't make mountains. He can just paint a sign on that mountain, tell you that it's named this, but it's actually not. That's all he can do. He paints pictures. But you have been thrown from your burial site like an abominable branch, like the garment of those who are killed, thrust through with a sword, who go down to the stones of the pit like trampled corpses. Like a trampled corpse. You are not joined with them in the burial place, for you have destroyed your land and killed your people. Let the seed of evildoers never be mentioned. Prepare his children for slaughter because of the crookednesses of their fathers, lest they rise up and possess the land and fill the face of the world with cities. So there's not going to be a remembrance of TikTok or Babylon, Britney Spears, all this stuff, what the world is about. There'll be no mention of it. It's going to be erased. And I shall rise up against them, declares Yahuwah of hosts, and shall cut off from Babel the name and remnant and offspring and descendant, declares Yahuwah. And I shall make it a possession for the porcupine. Porcupine's another word that's usually used alongside ostriches to describe how it's going to be, what's going to happen to it. He's going to make it a possession for the porcupine and marshes of muddy water, and shall sweep it with the broom of destruction, declares Yahuwah of hosts. Yahuwah of hosts has sworn, saying, truly, as I have planned, so shall it be, and as I have purposed, so it stands, to break Ashur in my land and tread him down on my mountains. How does he break Ashur in the land and tread him down on the mountains? If we know that the enemy, what he did, his weapon, the only way how he injured us was he lied to us and convinced us to deny the truth about the land, our land, and that he convinced the world to just forget about their land, the mountains altogether, And if they do think about it, look in a different direction. So how the Most High is going to tread him down, the father of lies, is by revealing the land and the mountains, the truth about it. And just think about it. That's exactly what will happen. That's what happens when you reveal the truth about your home. It tears down the BS about it. And his yoke shall be removed from them, and his burden removed from their shoulders. This is the counsel that is counseled for all the earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out over all the nations. For Yahuwah of hosts has counseled it, and who annuls it? And his right hand that is stretched out, who turns it back? His right hand, and that's the truth. So the Most High's right hand is stretched out. That means the truth is eclipsing all the BS. And now, that's why in the movie, that's what the movie The Lord of the Rings is about. The reason it's called Lord of the Rings is because of the eclipse, the annular Ring of Fire eclipse. And you'll know that when you read the story, if you know the story is that the ring, if you have the ring on your hand, you possess power and you can be invisible where no one can see you, right? And most people, when they wear it, they become victim to it and they can't control their lust for it. And it kills them. It becomes their demise. And so the people decide they want to destroy it, and they vote Frodo to take it to this mountain, this volcano, to throw it in the volcano and destroy it. They vote him because they figure that he would be the last person that would get addicted to the power of the ring, that he was the most loyal or whatever. And so until that ring of fire eclipse came, the enemy had the power with the shadow. The truth was hidden. But now, ever since that ring of fire occurred, the enemy has lost the ring, like on Lord of the Rings, and now the power has been shifted to the truth. Now the truth is going to reign supreme, and it's not going to stop. He's the one that put it in place. Who will annul it? And it's going to continue till all the way. It's going to accelerate more and more every day until the very end, the climax, and then we will transition to right ruling, understanding, the instructions, all that from there on and forever. And anyone who ain't coming and wanting to do that is being destroyed. This is the message which came in the year that Sovereign Ahaz died. Do not rejoice, all of you Phoenicia, that the rod that struck you is broken. For out of the serpent's roots comes forth an adder, and its offspring is a fiery flying serpent. More proof of this is talking about what's going on today. Over there, Israel, they're hated. They're destroying the Palestinians. They want to eradicate the Arabs from there and take over the land, right? So it's a war between them and the Arabs. So, and a lot of those Arabs, they long for the destruction of Israel and for all that to end, especially the Palestinians. So the Most High said, do not rejoice, all you of Phoenicia, that the rod that struck you is broken. So if there's any Palestinians left, but any of them countries, Lebanon, Syria, Iran, all them, that they've bullied, when Israel is destroyed, he's letting them know, don't rejoice, because you're all involved. It's all the same thing. And they're all mixed together. It's all Babylon and Satan worship, one way or the other. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy lie down in safety. And I shall kill your roots with scarcity of food, and it shall kill your remnant. There'll be no more there'll be less and less talk of falsehood, and falsehood will be preached less and less through time, and eventually it will just go away altogether. And so the lies will be destroyed by the scarcity of food. There'll be no truth in it. And it shall kill your remnant. Howl, O gate. Cry, O city. Melt away, all you Phoenicia, for smoke shall come from the north, and there is no stranger in his ranks. And what does one answer the messengers of a nation? That Yahuwah has founded Sion, and the poor of his people take refuge in it. So if you've paid attention and you bared with me and was patient and let me just get this done however I can and get this truth out there, and you used understanding BEREAN style, you know what you have to do, and you know that I haven't been BSing. Yeah, and that the word is saying that only in Sion and Jerusalem will you find and escape your deliverance in these end times. And it's for anyone. The whole time the Most High hasn't been in the business of kidnapping, of abduction. He's not trying to keep prisoners and slaves. He gives us our free will, the choice to live with him or not. But here's the kicker: he's only keeping those who want to live with him, and the rest are going to be destroyed because they're not. Any tree who don't produce good fruit is hewn down. That's just how it is. So, but you can come live forever. You just got to come and live with the family. So you have the choice, and all the ones that are dying are choosing not to live with the Most High. So even the people that weren't in the end times, they had to choose Jerusalem and their family. If they just didn't know and they just choose Babylon, they choose Babylon. The Most High isn't going to kidnap them and make them come to Jerusalem if they chose Babylon. It's been a choice. It's been a cup of threshing, a threshing floor in the time of her end. The world is choosing who they want to live with. What nation do they belong to? And you have to choose Yasharal. And why we're so blessed in this end time to be living in this time is that we get to be a part of those who come home a second time. When the Most High whistles for us, we come back and we lift up a banner. We get to be those that the Word was talking about now in this end time. And this truth couldn't come out until the end time. And we were told that too. It's most excellent, and there ain't nothing else that I've seen that's gone out there that has anything on what the Word's truly saying. I'm not going to read 15 for you, but I hope you do your own due diligence and you consider strongly the facts that you just saw. That the fact is you've been lied to about where your home is. And in order to live, you have to go home, be a part of home. And it's easy. All you got to do is choose. It'll be hard to walk away from Babylon and everything, but you're walking away from death and into life. So it's easy to choose to live over death. In hindsight, you'll think that it was an easy choice, but I'm sure while you're walking away, it's going to be difficult, but it has to be done. You got Rushalim, Sion is where the refuge is. And you have to come now if you're in the time of the end. Or any time, you have to choose it. If you truly love the Most High and you want to dwell with Him at the appointed times in the land and take your inheritance, well, you'll be concerned about your inheritance. You'll be looking for it, searching the truth over it. And you'll be all about it. And we'll know. The Most High will be able to tell whether you are or not. And you had the word that would told you that if you don't choose your home and your family, you die.